Section 24, Letters 116 to 120. Letter the 116th. The Chevalier d'Anceny to Cécile Volanges.
Madame de Merteuil left this morning for the country. Thus, my charming Cécile, I am now deprived of the sole pleasure which remained to me during your absence, that of talking of you to your friend and mine. For some time past she has allowed me to give her that title, and I have profited by it with all the more eagerness, because it seemed to bring me nearer to you. Lord, how amiable this woman is, and with what a flattering charm she knows how to endow friendship! It seems as though that sweet sentiment is embellished and fortified in her by all that she denies to love. If you knew how she loves you, how it pleases her to hear me speak of you, 'tis that, no doubt, which draws me so much towards her. What happiness it were to be able to live entirely for you both, to pass uninterruptedly from the delights of love to the sweets of friendship, to consecrate all my existence to it, to be in some measure the point of union of your mutual attachment, and to feel always that, in occupying myself with the happiness of the one, I was working equally for that of the other. Love dearly, my charming friend, this adorable woman. Give greater value still to the attachment I have for her by participating in it. Since I have tasted the charm of friendship, I am desirous that you should experience it in your turn. From pleasures which I do not share with you, I seem only to obtain a half enjoyment. Yes, my Cécile, I would fain surround your heart with all the softest sentiments, so that its every vibration might give you a sensation of happiness, and I should still feel that I could never repay you more than a part of the felicity which I should derive from you. Why must it be that these charming projects are only a chimera of my imagination, and that reality offers me, on the contrary, only indefinite and dolorous privations? The hope which you had held out to me of seeing you in the country, I see well that I must renounce. I have no other consolation than that of persuading myself that you do really find it impossible, and you refrain from telling me this, from grieving over it with me. Twice already have my complaints on this subject been left without a reply. Ah, Cécile, I do believe that you love me with all the faculties of your soul, but your soul is not ardent like my own. Why does it not lie with me to overthrow the obstacles? Why is it not my interests that have to be considered instead of yours? I should know how to prove to you that nothing is impossible to love. You tell me nothing either of the duration of this cruel absence. Here, at least, I should perhaps see you. Your charming eyes would reanimate my drooping soul. That touching expression would reassure my heart, which has sometimes need of it. Forgive me, my Cécile, this fear is not a suspicion. I believe in your love, in your constancy. I should be too unhappy if I were to doubt it. But so many obstacles, and always renewed. I am sad, my friend, very sad. It seems as though the departure of Madame de Merteuil has renewed in me the sentiment of all my woes. Adieu, my Cécile. Adieu, my beloved. Remember that your lover is grieving, and that you alone can restore him to happiness. Paris, 17th of October, in 17...
Letter the 117th. Cécile Volanges to the Chevalier d'Anceny. Dictated by Valmont.
Do you think, then, my dear friend, that I had any need of scolding to make me sad when I know that you grieve? And do you doubt that I suffer as much as you at all your sorrows? I even share those which I cause you knowingly, and I have one more than you when I see that you do not do me justice. Oh, that is not right. Indeed, I see what vexes you. It is that the last 2 times you asked to come here, I did not answer you. But was the answer such an easy one to give? Do you suppose I do not know that what you want is very wicked? And yet, if I have already so much difficulty in refusing you at a distance, pray, what would it be if you were here? And then, because I had wished to console you for a moment, I should be sorry all my life. See, I have nothing to conceal from you. Here are my reasons, judge for yourself. I should perhaps have done what you wish, had it not been for what I have told you, the news that this Monsieur de Jaucourt, who is the cause of all my grief, will not arrive yet awhile. And as mamma, for some time past, has shown me much more kindness, as I, on my side, caress her as much as I can, Who knows what I may not be able to obtain from her? And if we could be happy without my having anything to reproach myself with, would not that be much better? If I am to believe what I have been often told, men no longer love their wives so much if they have loved them overmuch before they were wives. That fear restrains me even more than the rest. My friend, are you not sure of my heart, and will there not be always time? Listen, I promise you that, though I cannot avoid the misfortune of marrying Monsieur de Gercourt, whom I hate so much already before I know him, nothing shall any longer prevent me from being yours as much as I am able, and even before everything. As I do not care to be loved except by you, and you must see quite well that, if I do wrong, it is not my fault, the rest will be just the same to me, provided that you promise to love me always as much as you do now. But until then, my friend, let me continue as I am, and ask me no more for a thing which I have good reasons for declining to do, and which it yet vexes me to refuse you. I should be very glad to if Monsieur de Valmont were not so urgent for you. It only serves to make me grieve still more. Oh, you have a very good friend in him, I assure you. He does everything that you would do yourself. But adieu, my dear love. It was very late when I began to write to you, and I have spent part of the night over it. I am going to bed now, and to make up for the lost time. I embrace you, but do not scold me any more. At the Château de 18th of October 17.
Letter the 118th. The Chevalier d'Ancenis to the Marquise de Merteuil.
If I am to believe my almanac, my adorable friend, it is but 2 days that you have been absent, but if I am to believe my heart, it is 2 centuries. Now, I have it from yourself, it is always one's heart that one should believe. It is therefore quite time then that you should return, and all your affairs must be more than finished. How can you expect me to be interested in your lawsuit, when, be it lost or won, I must equally pay the costs by the tedium of your absence? Oh, how querulous I feel! And how sad it is to have so fair a subject for ill humour, but no right to show it. Is it not, however, a real infidelity, a black betrayal, to leave your friend far away from you, after having accustomed him to be unable to dispense with your presence? In vain will you consult your advocates. They will find you no justification for this ill behaviour, and then those gentry do but talk of reasons, and reasons are not sufficient answer to sentiments. For myself, you have told me so often that it was reason which sent you on this journey, that I have entirely done with it. I will no longer listen to it, not even when it tells me to forget you. That is, however, a most reasonable reason. In fact, it would not be so difficult as you suppose. It would be sufficient merely to lose the habit of always thinking of you, and nothing here, I assure you, would recall you to me. Our loveliest women, those who are said to be the most amiable, are yet so far below you that they could give a very feeble idea of you. I think even that, with practised eyes, the more one thought at first they resembled you, the more difference one would remark afterwards. In vain their efforts, in vain their display of all they know, they always fail in being you, and therein positively lies the charm. Unhappily, when the days are so long and one is unoccupied, one dreams, one builds castles in the air, one creates one's chimera. Little by little the imagination is exalted. One would fain beautify one's work. One gathers together all that may please. Finally, one arrives at perfection, and as soon as one is there, the portrait recalls the model, and one is astonished to find that one has but dreamed of you. At this very moment I am again the dupe of an almost similar error. You will believe, perhaps, that it was in order to occupy myself with you that I started to write to you. Not at all. It was to distract myself from you. I had 100 things to say of which you were not the object, things which, as you know, interest me very keenly, and it is from these, nevertheless, that I have been distracted. And since when, pray, does the charm of friendship divert us from that of love? If I were to look closer into the matter, perhaps I should have a slight reproach to make myself. But hush, let us forget this little error, for fear of reverting to it, and let my friend herself ignore it. Why, then, are you not here to reply to me? to lead me back if I go astray, to talk to me of my Cecile, to enhance, if that be possible, the happiness I derive from her love by the sweet thought that, in loving her, I love your friend? Yes, I confess it. The love which she inspires in me has become even more precious since you have been kind enough to receive my confidence. I love so much to open my heart to you, to pour my sentiments unreservedly into yours. It seems to me that I cherish them the more when you deign to receive them, and again I look at you and say to myself, it is in her that all my happiness is bound up. I have nothing new to tell you with regard to my situation. The last letter I received from her increases and assures my hope, but delays it still. However, her motives are so tender and so pure that I can neither blame her for them nor complain. Perhaps you do not understand too well what I am telling you, but why are you not here? Although one may say all to one's friend, one dare not write it. The secrets of love, especially, are so delicate that one may not let them go thus upon their parole. If one allows them out sometimes, one must none the less never let them out of sight. One must, as it were, see them reach their new refuge. Come back, then, my adorable friend. You see how very necessary is your return. Forget, in short, the 1,000 reasons which detain you where you are, or teach me to live where you are not. I have the honor to be, etc. Paris, 19th of October, in 17...
Letter the 119th. Madame de Rosemonde to the Présidente de Tourvel.
Although I am still suffering greatly, my dearest fair, I am endeavouring to write to you myself, in order to be able to speak to you of what interests you. My nephew still keeps up his misanthropy. He sends every day most regularly to ask after my health, but he has not come once to inquire for himself, although I have begged him to do so. Thus I see no more of him than if he were in Paris. I met him to-day, however, in a place where I little expected him. It was in my chapel, whither I had gone for the first time since my painful indisposition. I learned to-day that for the last 4 days he has gone regularly to hear mass. God grant that this last. When I entered he came up to me, and congratulated me most affectionately on the improved state of my health. As mass was beginning, I cut short the conversation, which I expected to resume afterwards, but he had disappeared before I could rejoin him. I will not hide from you that I found him somewhat changed, but, my dearest fair, do not make me repent of my confidence in your reason by a too lively anxiety, and above all rest assured that I would rather choose to pain than deceive you. If my nephew continues to keep aloof of me, I will adopt the course, as soon as I am better, of visiting him in his chamber, and I will try to penetrate the cause of this singular mania, which I can well believe has something to do with you. I will write and tell you anything I may find out. Now I take leave of you, as I can no more move my fingers. Besides, if Adelaide knew that I had written, she would scold me all the evening. Adieu, my dearest fair. At the Château de 20th October, 17.
Letter the 120th. The Vicomte de Valmont to the Père Anselme, a Bernardine of the monastery of the Rue Saint-Honoré.
I have not the honour of being known to you, monsieur, but I know of the entire confidence which Madame la Présidente de Tourvel reposes in you, and I know, moreover, how much this confidence is deserved. I believe, then, that I may address myself to you without indiscretion, in order to obtain a very essential service, truly worthy of your holy office, and one in which the interests of Madame de Tourvel and myself are one. I have in my hands important papers which concern her, which cannot be entrusted to anybody, and which I would not and must not give up, except into her hands. I have no means of informing her of this, because reasons, which perhaps you will have heard from her, but which I do not consider myself authorized to state, have led her to take the course of refusing all correspondence with me, a course that to-day, I confess willingly, I cannot blame, since she could not foresee events which I myself was very far from expecting, and which were only rendered possible by that superhuman force which we are forced to recognize. I beg you, therefore, monsieur, to be so good as to inform her of my new resolutions, and to ask her to grant me a private interview, in which I can at least in part repair my errors, and as a last sacrifice destroy in her presence the sole existing traces of an error or fault which has rendered me guilty in her eyes. It will not be until after this preliminary expiation that I shall dare to lay at your feet the humiliating confession of my long disorders, and to entreat your mediation for an even more important and unhappily more difficult reconciliation. May I hope, monsieur, that you will not refuse me this precious and necessary aid, and that you will deign to sustain my weakness, and guide my feet into the new way which I desire most ardently to follow, but which, I blush to confess, I do not yet know. I await your reply with the impatience of the repentance which desires to make reparation, and I beg you to believe me, with equal gratitude and veneration, your most humble, etc. P.S. I authorize you, monsieur, should you deem it proper, to communicate this letter in its entirety to Madame de Tourvel, whom I shall make it my duty to respect all my life long, and in whom I shall never cease to honour one whom Heaven has used to bring back my soul to virtue, by the touching spectacle of her own. At the Château de 22nd October 17.
End of section 24.